Hello everybody, this is Single Hofer. It's just me today. Cinnamon is a bit busy as of late, so for a while you can expect our recordings to be just me. I am here to do the recently posted 2 new chapters of Pony in My Pocket. In our first video of this that was actually our first recording ever, so we did a few things wrong. Namely, we did not name the author, so this is by Baroque Nexus. And without further ado, let's do this. The Pony in My Pocket. Homecoming. Life. There was so little of it. No life in the metal walls of the Black Hawk around me. No life outside in the searing hell that was the Afghani desert. No life in the faces of the soldiers, their faces masked by dark sunglasses, Kevlar helmets, and curling lips. My job was to take lives in order to save lives. But how could I do that in an environment where so little life exists in the first place? Except there had been life, and I had taken it. No, don't crash. Okay, good. Sorry guys, my internet browser is being kind of weird right now. Inside the Black Hawk, buckled in and waiting to drop boots on the ground of Kabul. Fuck you. I could do little else. Sorry, it's random pop-up from Internet Explorer. I think I've got a couple viruses. I could do little else but think. Even then, the shaking and the roar of the rotors jarred my brain. I couldn't think straight. My head was pounding. My hands were shaking. It was as if my body were telling me that I was flying to my doom, like how some animals can sense when they're about to die. My chest started to ache, and I reached up and felt around the chest pocket of my vest, gingerly touching the place where I knew a red scar lay, forever etched into my skin. And, sure enough, I also felt hair and rough plastic. I slowly pulled the plastic thing out. It was a blue bulb, about the size of a ping-pong ball, caked in blood and topped with a shock of fake hair that used to be colored in the rainbow. The bulb's eyes were so chipped and bloodied they looked less like eyes and more like sockets, fleshless and foreboding, twin holes that plunged eternally into darkness. Rainbow Dash. It had been a month since Kowari, and I still kept her shattered head in my pocket. It was all I had left of the little toy my daughter had given me on the day that I went to Afghanistan. That morning, 9 months ago, was still fresh in my mind as if I had just kissed my wife and daughter goodbye yesterday. That, and the Wednesday afternoon 1 month ago, when that cheap plastic toy was the last thing between my heart and my vest to stop the shrapnel from ricocheting Kalashnikov fire. When my daughter saved my life. When Dashi exploded across my heart. The fallout of Kowari was, as I expected, swift and unforgiving. When I woke up, I was no longer in the Black Hawk, but in the medical quarters of Bagram Air Force Base. Standing at my bedside was none other than the newly promoted Sergeant Major Lionel Cassell, known by the 13th Army Expeditionary Unit as Lion Castle. Of course, he wasn't there to give me a get-well card. He told me what I already knew. Private Tochak and Private First Class Collins were dead, and their bodies had been recovered. Everyone in Gold 1, the first Humvee in our convoy to Kowari, was dead. 2 more were killed from Gold 3, and next to me lay 4 soldiers from Gold 2 whose wounds that made mine look like paper cuts. 7 KIA, and whose fault did Cassell say it was? His own. I jerked so hard from my bed that the IV in my arm tore in half. Lionel Cassell was blaming himself. Not that it wasn't his fault, but he'd find a way to put blame on someone else, usually me. Then he did something else I'd never seen him do before. He cried, bawled his eyes out. He had seen boys blown up in front of him. He'd seen men and women die. And he'd even done it himself. But he was crying. And to this day, I don't really know why. Well, isn't it kind of obvious? That's pretty traumatic. You've got basically this blood of 7 of your own guys on your hands, and you don't know why he's crying. It seems pretty obvious. I never would find out. Oh, wonderful. Bagram got attacked by Hajis the day after I was discharged from the medic's bunker. My unit had only been stationed at Bagram temporarily, but this would turn out to be the beginning of the end of my time at the base. I'd been watching Breaking Bad with a couple of my guys. Nice. With a couple of my guys in the house bunker when I heard the shots. A few quick cracks. Nothing to be worried about. But then came a steady stream of mixed machine gun fire, punctuated by the booms and quakes of rocket-propelled grenades. Our reaction was instantaneous. The base went to red, and the call came out to hit the line. My buddies and I grabbed our rifles and hastily threw on vests and helmets that we had stored in the closet next to the game room, and, making sure we had enough 5.56 to go around, we sped out of the living quarters and into the bright sunlight of Bagram. The fire was coming from the south side, and already soldiers were making a beeline towards the wire posts that marked our defense line. I saw a line of Hajis firing from the hilltops, some with RPGs, some with Kalashnikovs, and some that looked like they had no weapons at all, but were attacking nonetheless. They were... okay. They were way off in the distance, far out of range, and the men I'd been hanging with were not from my unit, nor were they necessarily my friends. I caught sight of a truck with a half-dozen troops in the bed and decided to hitch a ride, running alongside the truck and allowing boys from the 10th Mountain to pull me aboard. The wind and the sand blasted my uncovered face as I tried to adjust the vest and helmet that I had so clumsily put on. The Hajis were after the planes, no doubt about it. One had taken aim at an A-10 and sent a rocket into its cockpit, nearly blowing its nose off. Then the first bullets began to snap around in the truck as it sped down the tarmac, flanked by other soldiers, some fully geared, some not. A few of the mountain boys began to return fire. What? Nope, kinda busy. Recording something. A few of the mountain boys began to return fire, answering the insurgents' AK's bullets for bullet. A few of the mountain boys began to return fire, answering the insurgents' AK's bullet for bullet. As the driver, an Afghani trooper, swerved and spun. It was like Grand Theft Auto, except I had only had one life, and I had come way too close to losing it before. As I thought of this, my hand instinctively went to my chest pocket. I grabbed Rainbow Dash's head and held it tight in my palm. But then the Afghani driver took a hard right and ran over a rut in the tarmac. The jolt knocked the plastic pony out of my hand. For a fraction of a second, I thought I was going to fly out off the bed, but then it landed in one of those grooves of the truck bed's floor. Despite the gunfire and nauseating motions of the truck, only when I was frightened. I couldn't lose her. I couldn't. Only then was I frightened. I couldn't lose. Yeah, I screwed up a few times in that paragraph, my bad. I really don't want to start this over, though. I reached down, tripping and falling on my face next to Rainbow Dash's battered head, and then the world inverted. A rocket blew up next to the truck, sending a shower of sparks and dust into the air, only to be sucked up by the fire. The truck flipped, and everything seemed to happen in slow motion. I saw the 10th Mountain Boys tumble head over heels as the truck did a 360 in midair. I saw the unforgiving ground rushing up to meet me, and I saw Rainbow Dash's head spinning off to my left. My eyes were drawn to it, and then my full head, twisting my neck to see it. That was what saved me. The impact of a man on tarmac was excruciatingly painful, and I felt as though I'd broken every bone in my body. The vest absorbed some of the impact, but my unprotected arms were rubbed raw as I slid across the tarmac, my skin on my elbows literally melting off my arms. Ow. The worst impact was my head, but it could have been a lot worse. I hit the ground head first, but my helmet absorbed much of the hit. Still, it felt like someone had taken a swing at my skull with a sledgehammer, and I was seeing stars and blackness when I finally stopped rolling. Smoke curled over my broken body. I could move, which was relieving, and the Hadjis had probably seen me move and knew that I wasn't dead. So without waiting to reflect on what the fuck just happened, I ran. But not before I saw a little blue sphere on the ground, and not before a voice, my daughter's voice, reminded me of what Rainbow Dash stood for. She didn't leave me. Why should I leave her? Cursing myself, I ignored the bullets penetrating the ground around my toes and swiped up the plastic toy remnant, stuffing it in my pants pocket. My head was pounding, and I could still smell the burnt flesh on my arms and elbows. Other than that, I seemed to be fine, but my head wouldn't stop aching. Then I saw the truck, or what was left of it. The rocket burst had torn it from its axles and tossed it around like a Hot Wheels truck. Now it rested on the bullet-riddled tarmac, smoking and shattered, and its occupants, the mountain boys, were scattered around it, dead or dying. A few had managed to escape, but those whose legs had been crushed by the truck were being picked off by sniper fire. It was sickening to watch. But in my pounding mind, I knew I was lucky not to be one of those men. I was lucky that my neck hadn't snapped when the truck flipped. The back of my helmet and vest must have saved me. If I hadn't looked at Rainbow Dash as I spun out of control. Corporal! The drawling voice of Lionel Cassell broke me from my trance, and I realized that I was standing in plain sight of the Hadjis, and the severe crosswind had been the only thing preventing their bullets from tearing into my flesh. Cassell was tending to a wounded GI that hadn't made it to the line, and they were both taking cover behind a huge damaged supply crate. I ran like hell as the ground exploded, joining Cassell and the other wounded soldier. Sergeant Cassell! Fucking Christ, Corporal! You were in that truck! I was, Sergeant. How the fuck did you get out of there? Well, with all due respect, Sergeant, now's not the time. We don't want another Kawari. At this, his eyes seemed to harden, and for a moment he looked like he was going to break my nose. But then he radioed over the command post across the way. This is Sergeant Cassell. I've got multiple men down in Sector 2-4. Repeat, multiple men down in Sector 2-4. Need medical assistance for wounded GIs. Situation is FUBAR. Repeat, situation is FUBAR. For those who don't know what FUBAR is, it's an acronym for fucked up beyond all recognition. I like my history teacher. He's cool. That's how I got that from. Alright. I didn't hear the response. Of course you didn't. That's exactly what happened last time. As the pounding in my head was drowning out the noises of gunfire and men crying out, then, all of a sudden, I was covered in Lion Castle's blood. Sarge had taken a direct hit in the small back of his neck, and the bullet had done a through and through. Before I knew what was happening, blood from Cassell's severed carotid artery blinded me, and I fell back, yelling as the blood stung my eyes. Eesh, that would... As I wiped my eyeballs clean, I saw Cassell fall onto the wounded man, who also looked like he was on his way out. The radio was still blaring, and Cassell was still twitching. A few seconds passed, and then he lay still. Blood pooled around the hole in his neck, much like blood had flooded Ryan Collins' neck when a sniper bullet did him back at Kawari. In a matter of moments, both men were dead, my sergeant and the soldier he'd been trying to save. The battle meant nothing anymore. I'd had enough. I'd had fucking enough. Suddenly I was in a haze, and I was no longer in control of my body. I had been usurped by a man who had seen so much death that it seemed he himself become... Fuck, my bad. I had been usurped by a man who had seen so much death that it seemed he himself had become death, and yet he lived still. Noting this paradox, the man who stole my body pulled the M9 out of my pocket and placed the cold barrel on my temple. I felt a slight nudge, and by now, I knew what it was before even looking. Sure enough, Rainbow Dash rolled out of my pocket, and when I saw her, I saw Julia. I saw Lauren. I saw my old life. the life that I was about to so selfishly abandon in self-inflicted death. Unconsciousness saved me, and I slumped onto Lionel Cassell's leg, bathing in his blood. After the Hajis had done a few good men in, somebody finally had the brains to realize that Bagram was an Air Force base, and that maybe to defend themselves they should use the Air Force. Less than 10 minutes after I blacked out, a couple of pilots and rangers had managed to get a chopper off the ground, and from then on it was like a wolf hunt in Alaska. Lulz. The rangers picked off the insurgents with scoped rifles and machine guns, while the pilots guided the Black Hawk above the drones of southern Bagram. 20 minutes later, all the Hajis were dead. I guess somebody found me and got me to safety, because when I woke up, I was back in the medical quarters, still covered in Lionel Cassell's blood, though the sergeant's body was nowhere to be seen. The MQ was filled to bursting with wounded rangers, airmen, Spec 4, and other soldiers that had been stationed at Bagram at the time of the attack. They told me I was only here for a trauma treatment, and that I could go in the morning, though the moans and dozens of troopers disturbed me. I hoped that my dreams would rid me of my visions of blood, explosions, and death. I was so wrong. So fucking wrong. Because the night after Bagram got attacked, the nightmares began. A man is standing on the dark street corner, trying to warm himself in the rain. There are no cars in the street. There are no other people out tonight, other than him. The single, wavering light of the street lamp is all that separates the man from the cold, wet darkness that has surrounded him. The blackness is so complete that even the lights of the city are swallowed up in the miasma of dark. He is alone. I said that a bit awkwardly. A voice, a girl's voice, crying softly, penetrates his ears. The rain still bombs the earth, but the girl's sobbing cuts through the storm. The man recognizes the voice. It belongs to someone close to him. Very close. The girl is in pain. Her sobs are intermittent with soft pleas for help. So weak and so emotional are they that the man begins to cry himself, his tears indistinguishable from the raindrops on his face. He walks in the direction of the voice, forfeiting the sanctuary of the street lamp. Eternity passes in darkness. The man cannot see. There is nothing to feel except for cold rain and biting wind. The girl's crying has become the only sound in the night, drowning out even the consistent pattering of raindrops on the street. Then the man realizes that he no longer feels asphalt beneath his feet. He feels nothing beneath his feet. He's walking on darkness. A light breaks through the black miasma. It is another street lamp, wavering, flickering, miles away from where the man stands. Fascinated, he begins to run toward the street lamp, and as he does, the crying grows louder and louder. An indistinct shape appears to be lying underneath the street lamp, and it appears to be the source of the crying. After running for years, the man reaches the edge of the light and views the crying girl. It is no girl. It is a small blue creature, winged and hoofed, with a face like a beaten cantaloupe, and hair colored in the rainbow. Interesting way to describe that. Across its flank is a lightning bolt, also rainbow colored. She only has 3 colors on her cutie mark. The thing is crying, and it is assuming this is Rainbow Dash, I'm sure it is, and it is covered in blood, but she doesn't appear to be injured. Then the man looks down and realizes that he is bleeding from every orifice. His mouth, his nose, his rectum, and even opening his body are and every opening in his body are spewing forth shadowy blood that covers the creature as it cries. But the man isn't hurt. He doesn't feel a thing other than confusion. Within moments, every drop of blood in the man's body is gone, and the creature is covered in it. No longer is its hair multicolored or its skin blue. Only its eyes were any different color than crimson. It is still crying. Its eyes are crying as its body drowns in blood. The light begins to fade, but the creature speaks one word, one time, as the world collapses. Daddy. Julia. Gah! I was back, and that was my best gah showing waking up. I was back, and apparently I'd pissed myself. The remnants of my dream floated around in my brain long enough to frighten me into hysterics. Like a madman, I dug into my fatigue pockets until my fingers closed around a crusty bulb of plastic. Taking Dash out, I foamed and raved, waking some of the other soldiers up, but I didn't care. It was the middle of the night. The security had been doubled after yesterday's attack, but I didn't care. I'd had enough. Reaching for my pistol, I kicked the door open and went outside the cool Afghani night. The stars were shining, but I didn't care. Incensed, I threw Rainbow Dash's head on the ground. Fury, unknown fury, overtook my body. "What the fuck do you want?" I roared, taking aim. "Why are you always fucking saving me? What do you want?" Of course, the plastic head didn't answer. And I could barely... Oh, jeez. My parents can probably hear me. I wonder what they're thinking. In case you're wondering, I am still in high school, so that's why I'm still with my parents. Of course, the plastic head didn't answer, and I could barely see it in the darkness. But I didn't care. I flicked the safety off. "You want to fucking die? Then die!" Blam. For a second, I saw Dash's head on the ground, covered in dried blood, her eyes absorbed by dual orbs of darkness. Blam! Again. Blam! Again. Blam! "Why won't you fucking leave me alone, you..." When I shot at the ground for the 5th time, I saw her eyes. Not Rainbow Dash's eyes. Julia's eyes. In Rainbow Dash's bloody plastic head, I saw her chocolate brown eyes staring up at me, wondering why her father was shooting her. I choked on the foam that had formed in the back of my throat, and before I knew what was happening, a sentry had knocked me to the ground. The tarmac was cooler than it had been during the attack, and I barely heard the sentry's words as he roared into his radio, and a spotlight bathed my body in white light. The pistol had fallen away, landing about 10 feet from my hand, but Dash started to roll towards my outstretched palm. The soldier was going through my pockets, asking me what the fuck I was doing, and I was suddenly afraid that he'd step on Rainbow Dash. I struggled. I swore. I did everything I could to make sure the plastic toy remnant was made its way toward me. When the soldier got done patting me down, I gripped Dash's head with my teeth and shoved it into my mouth, tasting my own dried blood. The soldier shoved me into a truck, undoubtedly headed for the prison, but I didn't care. When the truck pulled up in front of the prison, I spat Dash out and hastily tucked it in the thigh pocket of my boxers, which were supposed to be contraband, but I didn't care. The creature is back, and this time it has no eyes. It is crying tears of blood, but it has no eyes with which to cry. The man is not moving. He is like stone, like bronze, freezing in time and space, forever doomed to listen to the eyeless, blood-covered beast sob under and utter that single word over and over. "Daddy." The next morning when I woke in my cell, the worst thing to ever happen to me happened to me. I met Derek Frost. Okay. The soldier who entered the prison that morning was a young, extremely fit guy with a black crew cut, a thin 5 o'clock shadow, and a face that reminded me of a cross between Shia LaBeouf and that guy who plays the medic in Saving Private Ryan. It's a pretty cool guy. He wore a black Houston Astros baseball cap, not so cool, a short-sleeved t-shirt underneath his combat vest, and fingerless Gore-Tex gloves. His M4 was slung over his shoulder, and 2 pistols, a Beretta 9mm, and to my astonishment, a .357 Desert Eagle, satin holsters on either hip. He had a sort of swagger to his walk, and I immediately knew he was with Special Forces. Only in Spec 4 did they allow punks to walk around like that. He sidled up to the cell in which I think I said that right. I don't think I said this. Sidled up to the cell in which I sat and knocked on the bars. So how's the accommodations, Wolfie? Who the hell are you? Name's Frost. Derek Frost. But you can call me Dex. What do you want? I thought Special Forces didn't associate with grunts. Whoa, whoa, Frost said, putting up his hands in mock defense. He had a cocky sort of voice. Oh, good, I guessed right. And his heavy Brooklyn accent made him sound like a punk. Who said that? Was that Pullman? Krulanovich? Those jokesters. Joke will be on them when I'll repeat the question, I said, standing up, not caring that I was being disrespectful. Why the hell are you in here? Why the hell are you here? He made a dismissive noise and rapped the bars of my cell. You don't like this setup, I imagine. I don't blame you. Then again, not many guys will go out in the middle of the night and use the ground as target practice. The ups think you're screwed, man, he exclaimed, rotating his finger around his temple in a crazy sign. They think you snapped when this place went to shit. And that's why you're here? I growled. To make fun of the crazy guy? To laugh while I get court-martialed, hauled back home? A laughingstock? Okay, Frost said. And I noticed that he had stopped using his patronizing tone. I'll cut the bullshit, okay? I know about Rainbow Dash. Sweet! My eyes widened. The world seemed to shrink. What the fuck are you talking about? Word gets around, man. Hey, don't worry. I don't judge you. In fact, I'm with you. Ponies are awesome. Am I right? He balled his fist up and put it against the bars of the cell, as if waiting for me to do the same. I didn't. And after several awkward moments of his fist returned to his pocket. Wow, way to leave a man hanging. Geez, man, denying a fellow brony a brohoof? Denying who a what? You mean you didn't watch My Little Pony? No, I yelled, trying to avert my eyes. I mean, yes, sometimes with my daughter, but I'm not a whatever you called it. Oh, my mistake then, Frost replied, and he sounded genuine this time. Well, I happen to love the show, and I think your daughter has great taste, but I'll cut to the chase. Word got around that you got saved in Kawari by Rainbow Dash. I didn't know whether it was just a bunch of bullshit or what, so I came to ask me? For starters, yep. I sighed. Not many people knew about the pony in my pocket, but it wasn't like I was trying to keep it a secret. A bullet ricocheted off a building and hit me in the chest. That's where I was keeping her. It was the last thing to slow it down before it reached my skin, and so it saved me. Dex whistled. Damn, man. Talk about guardian angel, or in this case, guardian Pegasus. Okay, enough with this fucking nonsense. Why are you here? He looked around and began to whisper. Okay, look, a bunch of hired guys think you're nuts. Me? I don't think so.
Can you help me now?
No, I can't. Seen plenty of guys lose their shit once in a while, and believe me, you ain't the first guy to shoot up Bagram in the middle of the night. I heard about what your unit pulled in Mazar-e Sharif, man. That's what got me here in the first place. He was referring to about 3 months back, 2 months before Kawari, when I had just become corporal. We had gotten into a heavy firefight in Mazar-e Sharif. I think I'm pronouncing that right, Sharif. All of us made it out uninjured. The enemy had lost every man. That was luck, Frost, I said. Nothing more. Fuck luck, man. I gotta... That sounded... My Brooklyn accent isn't great. Sorry. And any of you from Brooklyn, I am so sorry if anybody from Brooklyn ever watches this. I'm sure nobody will, but you know. Fuck luck, man. I got a guy in my group, Juarez. He's got at least 30 rounds in him, and he don't feel lucky. In my line of work, there's no such thing as luck. This fucking toy, I snarled, holding up the Rainbow Dash head, has saved my ass 3 times. Is that not luck? Frost shook his head. The Catholics got a word for luck. God. The Muslims got a word for luck. Allah. You got 2 words for luck. Rainbow Dash. He was turning into quite the comedian, something that I didn't think suited a Special Forces soldier well. You still haven't told me what you want. Okay, look. You've got a good unit. Good bunch of guys. Heard about Lion Castle, and I ain't gonna lie, that hit me hard. LC was one of my bros, man. Even though he was in the Army Expeditionary Unit, and I'm with Viper Platoon. Look, your unit is basically fucked. You lost your top NCO, and in the view of the commanders, the 2nd tier NCO just went apeshit. You're fucked, man. Unless you come with me. What? I got a spot open, man. Another guy, Benji, caught the plague or something, and had to fly him back to Kazakhstan or something. Thing is, we were about to gear up for Kabul for a date run, when Bagram gets lighted up. Now I'm down 2 men. I got 1. I need another. And you want me. He nodded stupidly as I tried to comprehend the magnitude of what he was asking. I'm not even in Spec 4, Frost. What would your commanding officer say? He'd say, fuck yeah, I'm the commanding officer. Wow, I said that way too fast. He'd say, fuck yeah, I am the commanding officer. You're the CO of Viper Platoon? Yep. But still, how? We're fucking Special Forces, bro. They don't call us special for nothing. What if I say no? If you say no, If you say no, then I get some other grunt to go. Meantime, you rot in here until they decide what to do with you. Not very pleasant. His voice dropped. I'm offering you a chance out, man. Besides, that other guy I mentioned, the one who took Benji's spot, you might want to meet him. Why? Because his name's Adam Collins, man. He's Ryan Collins' brother. And that's how I found myself fully geared and staring out into the Afghani desert from... God, there's, I'm sure, so many procedural faults with what just happened there. Just, oh, man. And that's how I found myself geared and staring out into the Afghani desert from the open Black Hawk Bay door. The doors had opened because Kabul was in sight. Across from me, Derek Frost was packing extra ammo in his pockets, and he was wearing the exact same outfit he wore 3 days ago when he visited me in prison. So an Astros hat. That's a lot better than a helmet. Astro caps are like made out of titanium or something. Don't tell anybody. 2 other Special Forces guys who went by nicknames Donnie Boy and Lancer remained silent. An Afghani trooper, Hammett, rubbed his hands nervously as he anticipated our arrival. And then there was Adam Collins. When I first saw him, I thought Ryan Collins had come back from the dead. He was the spitting image of his brother, minus the Texas accent. Damn it! I was really looking forward to doing another Texas accent. Or to doing a Texas accent. I guess Cinnamon did him last time. Because according to Dex, Adam had grown up in Minnesota. But he still had Ryan's mousy face and thin eyes. But these did not diminish his physical fitness. Adam Collins looked like he could wrestle an ox into submission. Derek tapped the side of his headset, indicating that he wanted to speak to everybody. I got the phones on in time to hear his instructions. Alright, we've been over this a million fucking times, so let's go over it again. The target is in the Intercontinental Hotel on the top floor. For what our source tells us, Egyptian by the name of Azid Nakesh has got information compiled on Al-Qaeda movements in camps across Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, pretty much the whole fucking sandbox. It's likely the information is stored on encrypted files and computers, which is why we brought Lancer along. You sure it was... who is... Okay. So no accent. Okay. You sure it wasn't for good looks and the fact that you can't aim worth shit? The one named Lancer said. A young Asian man who grinned widely, showing perfect teeth. No accent with him either. Not like you need a gun, Lancer. Donny Boy, a heavily bearded 30-something man, joked. What was that? Sorry, something fell down the stairs. Not like... it's like the same voice, though. I gotta think. Not like you need a gun, Lancer. Donny Boy, a heavily bearded 30-something man, joked. One look at your face by one of those goddamn ragheads, and they'll drop over like they just saw fucking death himself. As I was saying, Frost cut in, the target is on the top floor. That sounded really country-like. We don't know which room, but we have a plan for that. Mason Station in Kabul is allowing us to cut power to the ICH for Operation Fuck 'em Up. And without elevators to the two teams, and without elevators and with two teams of two on either side, on either staircase, only one place Nakesh will be able to go will be the roof. Only place Nakesh will be able to go will be the roof. He could destroy the computers, right? I said, fidgeting with my familiar bulb in my pocket. He can try, Lancer said. But he won't get anything by me. Don't get too cocky, Lance, Frost said. Here's the game plan. Mason Station's loaned us a few snipers for the mission. And we've got a green on don't ask, do kill. You all know what that means. If they've got guns and they're pointing them at you, blow the brains out. If they ain't pointing them at you, blow their brains out. This may be the first time in history an actual fucking U.S. military mission will resemble anything like Call of Duty. Wow. What? I prefer Battlefield myself. Shut up, Lance. Okay, Collins. Collins and I will head up the left staircase while Donny Boy and Wolfman take the right. Lancer will stay back with... How did I know that was going to end up coming up at some point or another? It's just like Call of Duty, bro. With Hammett and a few of Mason Station's guys until we get an all clear. Once we've cleared the top floor, our objective is to secure the data and apprehend Nakesh. HQ prefers him alive, but I doubt they'll cry if we send him back in a plastic bag. We'll be landing outside of Mason Station in about 3 miles from IHC. Why don't we just land on the roof of the building? Collins asked, speaking for the first time. They said he was born in Minnesota, and I'll just mix my Minnesota with my Canadian accent for the hell of it. Ever seen Black Hawk Down? Yeah. That's why. What? Collins, I don't got time to explain it to you, so I'm going to respectfully ask you to shut the fuck up. Nobody said anything else until the chopper pilot radioed. This story went from like kind of psychological and to just general violence and fun almost at this point. Very Call of Duty feel to it. Radioed that we were 5 minutes until landing. I braced myself, waiting for what lay ahead. Wham! Boom! I don't know who's talking. What the fuck? We're hit! We're hit! No shit! This is Falcon 6. Be advised, we're taking a... oh, shit. Sorry, I scrolled a little too far. This is Falcon 6. Be advised, we've taken a rocket to the tail. We might have to ditch it, guys. Can you close the goddamn doors? Frost screamed as the helicopter began to whirl out of control. Everybody was strapped in, but the spinning still made me sick. Negative. Doors are stuck. Target zone is below. Repeat, target zone is below. You'll have to jump it. I can't take it any lower. Do we have word from Mason Station? Negative, over. God fucking damn it! That wasn't the half of it. I thought everybody had been buckled in. I was wrong. Adam Collins' seat was empty. And as I looked around out the window, through the smoke of the damaged rotor, I could see his limp body maybe 30 feet below, unmoving on the roof of the Intercontinental Hotel. I really don't want to yell this line. There's people in my house right now. Fuck! Collins fell out. Oh, wow, that sounded... Fuck! Collins fell out! I didn't hear what... wow, Frost said that? Okay, I guess I have to do it again then. Fuck! Collins fell out! I didn't hear what Frost said next because I suddenly had the urge to unbuckle my harness and jump out of the crashing helicopter. No sooner did I have this urge than did a rocket plunge into the side of the chopper, killing... Oh, funny enough, did you ever see Black Hawk Down? Black Hawk Down. Bam, 2 seconds later. Wow. Into the side of the chopper, killing Lancer and Hammett and severely wounding Donny Boy. Damn it! The chopper was going down, and I had no other choice. Grasping my heart, hoping that Rainbow Dash and Julia would forgive me, and tightening my grip around my gun, I unbuckled my harness and fell through air, landing with a sick thud onto the roof of the hotel, succumbing to blackness. Okay, back to psychological stuff. The creature is back, but the blood is fading. It now only covers certain parts of her body, but the rest of it spreads across the man's hands and chest. Daddy, you'd promised you'd come back. I'm going to come back, Julia. I'm going to come back. The creature begins to sob, refusing to believe the man. Darkness is closing in. Daddy, I can't protect you now. No, you can. Julia. Both of you can. You and Rainbow Dash. I know you can. But Daddy... I'll be back, honey. I promise you. The creature continues to sob. It doesn't believe her father. I woke up to sound of... Oh, damn it. I woke up to the sound of Arab voices. This isn't going to be fun. It was evening. From what I could tell, as my eyes were only open a sliver, Collins lay next to me, unconscious and bleeding, but otherwise all right. I opened my eyes a bit further, and my breath caught in my throat. So, oh no. Yeah, dude's probably gonna get tortured. Standing around me were 4 heavily armed Afghanis, each equipped with a turban and AK-47, and enough ammo to last a single man over a year. That would be really, really heavy. They thought we were already dead. Something warm and salty ran down my face, and I knew that one of the insurgents had relieved himself of my had relieved himself on my body. That sucks. They chattered away in Arabic, not noticing me as I lay still, not daring to breathe. One of them reached down onto my chest, and for a second I was terrified. Would he feel my heartbeat? Realize I was still alive and shoot me where I lay? The Arab rummaged around my pockets, probably looking for valuables or ammo. His friends had walked off, heading for the stairs, and from their hand motions I figured they were bringing tools to do something to me and Collins. Then the Arab felt Dash. He pulled the crusted bulb and turned it over in his hands. My eyes were half open now, enough to see the toothless face of evil manhandling the broken spirit of loyalty underneath the starlit sky. Suddenly, I was overcome with fury. Who was this motherfucker to kill us both? And to take my only gift from my daughter? Who the fuck did this guy think he was? The Arab didn't see my right hand inch ever so slightly down the concrete. When he turned to call to his friends, I struck. The bench-made 90-50 auto combat knife was a favorite amongst the ranks, especially over in SEAL and Navy country. But I found it just as useful. In less than a second, I had plunged the knife into the back of the Arab's knee, and before he could yell out, I was all over him. I knew the jump had probably broken both of my legs, so I was surprised that I was able to stand up. Adrenaline must have been pushing me on as 3 insurgents turned around and pointed their guns. Not taking a chance, I pulled my Beretta from my pocket and open-fired, shooting 3 times, each a straight shot to the head that painted the walls of the roof exit with their blood. Not wasting a second, I turned the gun on the Arab, not giving a shit about military decorum. As far as I was concerned, these assholes had just killed my entire squad. My squad. I knew the enemy was still around. The gunfire had not ceased since I had fallen out of the chopper, so Mason Station was still going strong. I spared a moment to try to pinpoint the wreck of the Black Hawk in the darkness, but there were too many fires in Kabul to determine which one was coming from the downed chopper. Kalashnikov fire forced me back down to Collins, and as my adrenaline wore off and the pain of my shattered legs surfaced, I reached for the private's radio and tried to contact Ross. 9 or 4, this is 9 or 2. Do you copy? Dex, are you there? Static. Suddenly, Wolf? Frost, holy shit. Wolfie, I thought you were dead. So did I breathed, relieved to hear the big-headed Spec Force soldier's voice, but also fearful of the insurgents coming to investigate the roof. What happened? Chopper went down half a click from the IHC. Donnie Boy bled out before we could get him out. It's a fucking mess down here, Wolfie. Mason Station almost got overrun. Someone leaked our secret source and lopped his head off with a chainsaw before blowing up the entire square. They know we're coming, Ben. They knew we were coming, Ben. Where are we now? Where are you now? I'm 2 blocks down from the hotel. A couple of Rangers got a defense post set up outside of Mason Station, so we're literally holding down the fort. How about you? Are you okay? How's Collins? Bad, I said, examining the unconscious private. He took a bad fall, and he's not waking up. I think my legs are busted, too. And Derek? Yeah? You heard a couple of Beretta shots a minute ago, right? Yeah, that you? Yeah, you heard them then. You heard them, but so did the enemy. Gotcha, Wolfman. I ain't gonna leave you stuck up there, but hey, I got banged up when the Black Hawk went down. Bagram's got 2 gunships coming in hot, plus we got word that an RAF transport inbound. But shit, I heard him curse in pain over the radio. I don't know if I can get up there, man. We're pinned down as it is, and I don't want to lose any more guys. If we get a shot, we'll get up there, but for now, you're on your own. I stood in shocked silence as the cries of a dozen Hajis filled my ears. Then I saw Rainbow Dash in the dead Arab's hand, now bloodier than ever. I reached down and collapsed under my broken legs as I moaned in pain. The dash had rolled out of the Arab's palm and into my own. I smiled amidst the pain and held the radio up to my mouth. No, we're not, Dex. We're not on our own. My M4 was gone, and Collins was too far from me to grab with my broken legs. So I made do by pulling the pin of one of my grenades and tossing it at the rooftop stair exit. The first one blew the door off, and the second one landed cleanly in the stairwell. I was lucky. I got about 4 bombs before I ran out. I got in about 4 bombs before I ran out, each a perfect hit in the stairwell. I had bought us some time by collapsing the stairway, but there was another at the far end of the hotel, and I soon realized that I had started a fire in the building. So Collins and I were either going to burn to death, get shot, or get out alive. I prayed for the third option. Then Collins woke up. Holy shit. That sounds like Brooklyn accent. Holy shit. I don't know how to say holy shit in a Minnesota accent. Holy shit. Easy, kid, I said, wincing from the pain in my legs. What's going on? We're on the roof of the hotel. Everything's gone to hell. Exfil's got on its way, but we have to hold out here. I can't feel my legs. You're lucky then, I moaned, trying to laugh. Mine feel like someone beat them with a hammer. Frost? Still kicking. Made it out of the Hawk. He's down with Mason Station. Smoke curled up from the staircase as Collins and I lay side by side. My breath was shallow. I looked up onto the purple sky, and for a moment I thought I was going to lose consciousness. Then a gaggle of insurgents burst through the far door. I raised my 92 FS, and Collins struggled to do the same. They saw us. Lead flew. Some found flesh, some found concrete. A bullet shattered my kneecap, but I barely felt it through the pain of my already broken legs. I know I popped 2 Hajis, and College dropped another. The fires were spreading underneath us, and we lay on our backs, pushing up to the guardrail of the roof, firing as we crawled. Collins lobbed a few grenades, most of which missed their mark, and a cry of pain and spray of blood told me that he'd been shot in the abdomen. The wound hadn't killed his ability to fight, though. He emptied clip after clip into the swarm of insurgents that spawned up from the wow. Yeah, I gotta say, I don't really like that word choice there, but whatever. That spawned from the far staircase. It seems way too Call of Duty-like when you use a word choice like that to me. Eventually, the enemy decided to fall back and try and pick us off from afar, and we had to take cover behind an air conditioning unit as the ground grew hot beneath our boots. Bullets and shrapnel bounced off the AC unit as we tried to catch our breath. My leg was bleeding like crazy, and Collins's face was pale. If we didn't get out of here soon, we'd never make it. In the midst of that firefight, for whatever reason, maybe because I was dying, I thought about Julia. Her face flashed in my mind's eye. Her tear-streaked face. I saw her at JFK Airport, putting something in my hand. I saw myself hugging her. Collins? My voice was low and choked with pain. He looked over as I reloaded my Beretta. I don't think we're gonna make it, son. Don't talk to me like... Damn it. Don't talk to me like that, Corporal. Get out of this. We'll get out of this. I want you. No, he said, firmly, even though the bullet wound in his chest stunted his breathing. I'm not going to die here. Not like... I realized he was talking about his brother, and suddenly I knew why he'd been so taciturn around me. Adam, I moaned, trying to make myself heard over the gunfire. He looked at me, looking into my bleeding soul. I made my decision. Take this. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the bloodied Rainbow Dash head. Something kicked me when it exited my pocket. I think it was shrapnel. I'd never know. It was my daughter's. It saved my life. Blackness set in. The last thing I saw... He's missing a couple spaces. Last thing I saw before passing out was the confused look in Adam Collins' eyes. You're not coming home, are you? I don't think so, honey. Why not? The bad people. Well... But... You saved me, honey. Both of you. Did I ever tell you that? Something hit my heart, honey. And she saved me. Who did? You did. Daddy, I couldn't have. I'm not with you. Don't say that, honey. You are with me. You've helped me more than you can imagine. Both of you. Daddy. I awake with Derek Frost standing over me. He is grim-faced. There is blood on his chin and ash in his eyebrows. There is a distinct pulsing sound somewhere around me. Thunder rumbles. The thunder is coming from guns and booms that randomly go off below. Frost yells something, and a soldier I do not recognize stands over me and puts his hand underneath my back. He is wearing a beret and an odd-looking desert camouflage. He must be British. Frost says words to me, but I can't hear him. I can't hear except the low thunder and pulses. I strain to look to my left. Hovering 5 feet from my face is the open bay door of a Royal Air Force transport helicopter. Oh, pretty cool. The ramp of which lays on the very edge of the hotel. I see the faint outline of Adam Collins inside the helicopter, strapped down and apparently unconscious. It is nighttime. The stars are blotted out by flames that lick the sky. I feel their heat, feel their rage as they consume everything below me. I hear a low roar, the last breath of a dying creature. The British soldier picks me up and makes for the helicopter. Frost is already aboard, and for once there is no trace of humor in his face. He has taken shrapnel to his arm. The roaring continues, growing steadily. I look up into the burning sky, purple sky, and see the Brit's face. We were mere steps from the ramp, from life. A bullet bursts through the Brit's left eye, blowing it out in a splurge of blood and muscle. I feel myself falling, and pain as I collapse on the roof. I see the shocked and broken-hearted face of Derek Frost for the last time. The roof gives way to the fire, and in a heave of destruction, caving into itself and taking me with it. The pain is unimaginable. Flames caress my body as I tumble into hell, finally coming to rest in a pile of fallen sheetrock. The helicopter is gone. Frost is gone. I hear nothing except the crackling flames and slowing beat of my heart. Silence. Utter. Complete. God, this is taking forever. How much more do I... Oh, okay, I have very little left. Okay, I thought I had a ton more. I no longer hear the groaning of damaged support beams, nor do I hear the crackling of fire. It is burning me, burning my flesh, searing my skin away from my body. It is entombing me, and yet I feel no pain. I feel nothing. The flames divide. I see a shadow through the smoke. The shadow approaches me, passing through the fire and debris as if they didn't exist. I know what it is. Rainbow Dash appears over me. That was a little unexpected. She has my daughter's eyes. She is crying tears of blood. I can't move. The fire has become my grave. I am dying here. I am burning. She is not. She is crying tears of blood, crying for her father. Julia. Rainbow Dash. She moves closer until she is an inch away from my face. Her bloody tears drip onto my face. I hear her sobs. I hear her crying, but nothing else. Her hooves phase through the destruction that has trapped my broken body until they are behind my back. Instantly, she is corporeal. I feel her warm embrace. She is not warm like the fires around me, but warm with love, with passion. The better kind of warmth. Her crying escalates. Twin rivers of blood flow from my daughter's eyes. I reach up with my battered arm and run my hand across her flank. She is warm and shaking, like a newborn puppy. Her hide is softer than anything I've ever touched. I am crying with her, but the fire is evaporating my teardrops. Her head rests on my bloody chest. We are still locked in embrace, bound in a hug that warms my fading soul. Seconds left, fire all around. I hear her speak. I love you, Daddy. Dash's voice? Julia's voice? Which? I want to say, The end. The last vocal line that Rainbow Dash said there actually reminded me there of, what is it? Wow, I can't believe I forgot the name. My Little Dashie. I don't know how I managed to do that. This has taken me forever, so I guess I'm not going to do both chapters at one time. I'll upload them separately. But, wow, that took a long time. There you go. Homecoming. The Pony in My Pocket. I am well beyond assuming he is dead, but the story does have another chapter, so I am kind of wondering if that's still the same guy, or if we are going to be looking at another story through the eyes of Collins. So it'll be interesting to find out. I do not plan on reading on. This is actually my first time reading these new chapters. So keep your eyes out for when we post the next one. Bye.